This is Duke University.
Global trade and environmental justice.
Human rights issues are still.
The term Ubuntu.
The Alien and Sedition Acts.
Is making inferential discovery.
The importance of an archive.
The John Hope Franklin Center.
And for kids, there's a lot of different things that can happen. If the child does not end up in the child welfare system and they are just living in the community, it's easier for a parent to take them back to the parent's home country if that parent gets deported. And it's easier for the parent to make a decision whether or not that's what they want to do, which I would argue, is every parent's right to decide what is in the best interest of their child, what is best for their family. Some parents will decide to take their children with them, some will leave them here. The trend that we tend to see is children under 12 are more likely to go back with their parents. The older children are more likely to stay here. That creates a lot of situations where we see older siblings becoming the de facto parent and the caregiver for the younger sibling. And those decisions are sometimes based on status too. Sometimes a parent will say, well, my kid's a US citizen so they can come back. I'll take them with me until they're a little bit older. If the kid's undocumented, sometimes a parent doesn't want to risk taking them out of the US for fear that they won't be able to get back. There's also a lot of children who end up living with a friend or a relative, which is generally a better scenario than having a child go into the child welfare system. But it can get a little bit tricky. The process of being picked up by immigration, it tends to be very chaotic. People will call a friend or a relative and say, can you pick up my child at school? That person says yes, but doesn't really understand what they're committing to, that parent may be gone for weeks or months or years. And a lot of times these are also families who are also kind of living at the lower end of the socioeconomic structure, and they may have many children of their own, and that care situation can fall through, at which point the children end up in the child welfare system. And then there are the kids who just go straight into child welfare. The local police doing the apprehension call child welfare. In a lot of jurisdictions, that's actually an agreement between police and the child welfare system if a child is going to be harmed by a parent's arrest. And once those kids are in the system, it's just incredibly difficult for the parent to meet all of the obligations. So this study that I mentioned earlier was released by an organization called the Applied Research Center out of New York. If you're interested in taking a look at it, it's called Shattered Families. And they did an assessment of how extensive these cases of children in child welfare to detention and deportation are. And what they found is that there are currently 5,100 children in the child welfare system because of an immigration issue. And they estimate that 15,000 more will enter the system in the next 5 years if the current rates hold.
Produced by Duke University. Online at duke.edu.